What's up, Tackle Warehouse fans? Jake here with this week's episode of What's New TW. We are into the end of May, so transitioning to post-spawn to summertime mode, depending on where you're at. Our northern anglers are just getting into full swing. Some places are finally getting ready to open up. Some of those smallmouth seasons are going to get red hot here pretty soon. So first up, we got a new rod from Shimano. I believe this was a classic release. We finally just got it into stock, but the new Claris series of rods from Shimano. A phenomenal series, comes in at 89 bucks, so getting a lot of bang for your buck on these ones. Carbon fiber blanks, a titanium oxide guides up here, but down on the handle, they went with a full cork, super lightweight reel seat with a lot of exposed blank on the back of it, so it's super comfortable, increases sensitivity, and that kind of old school classy style look with these. And that paint down here in this lower, third section of the rod kind of reminds me of the old Dobbins Extreme series that had that color shifting paint. So if you're familiar with those, kind of that same color tone to it. But overall, great series of rods for 89 bucks. We have them casting, spinning, and then we have spinning two-piece as well. And the spinning models, we actually have a ton more models in the spinning lineup than we do the casting. So especially if you're looking for a spinning rod, definitely want to check these out. We have stuff all the way down to, 7-foot ultralights up to medium heavies. So a little bit wider range on the spinning side than the casting side, but more generalized actions, your 7-foot medium heavies, 6'6" mediums, 6'6" medium heavies. Not any technique specific stuff like a frog rod or a deep cranking rod, something like that. More generalized actions. So freshwater, saltwater, doesn't matter. Just a great series of rods there from Shimano. Next up, we got a couple things from 6 Sense that are actually really cool. So, two products. We got this new 6 Sense line through treble head, and then these beacon blades. And I rigged them up just to kind of show you guys kind of what you can do with them. So rigging them both up, you can make some pretty cool stuff with both of them. First up, with this line through treble head. So now they have an underspin model with your line through treble head, and I've actually got to fish this head this year with a soft plastic swim bait on the back. I was actually using a Kitech and having the treble hook on the back, and amazed on the hookup ratio and how many baits I saved. I was at a spotted bass fishery and probably caught 40, 50 fish on one bait. And we know what spotted bass do to a Kitech bait, a heavily salted bait. You normally only get a couple fish out of them at best. And to catch, 40, 50 fish on one bait was awesome. And it's just the design of that head and hooking those fish and letting the bait be able to slide up, and you don't have a hook shank going through the middle that tears up those baits. Now they got that same super effective head design with an underspin, so you can add some flash and just overall give yourself a little bit different presentation. And now they've also got these beacon blades. So comes in a pack with bobber stops included in this little arm with willow blades. So you can add this in front of a bunch of different stuff. You can add it in front of a crankbait. You can add it in front of a swim bait. It makes it look like your bait is chasing a small school of bait fish. Just something super cool that you can add to add to your presentation. Just change it up and throw something different out there. With this rig with the underspin and the blades on there, it's almost you're almost finesse umbrella rigging at this point. But really cool design. Two different new products there from 6 Sense. From True Bass, a really cool swim bait. This new Texas shad line through swim bait. Now, this thing, it looks awesome, but True Bass, they say they did over 4 years of testing to get this bait just right. So one thing I do like about it is how thin it is and how narrow it is. It really captures, those bigger gizzard shad or bigger thread fins, whatever you have in your fishery, just to get that profile just right. But with the line through system, so the line goes through the nose here and comes out the head. So when you hook a fish up, the bait's gonna slide up the line. You're gonna overall increase your hookup ratio, and then they're not gonna be able to use this bait as leverage. They're not gonna be able to use that big heavy bait to leverage to overall throw the bait. It's got a couple stabilizing fins on the bottom that gets it to track just right, even with it being a narrow bait. Weighted just right, so it tracks perfectly straight. And that boot tail, they actually put quite a large fin on the back. So, it kicks back and forth, but the side profile of it, you really get that a good shad profile that maintains that big fork tail, and it's not just a cut-off boot tail on the back. Some really cool colors, multiple sink rates. So we're getting in that time of year where the fish are gonna start moving out on ledges and start firing up on schools of shad, especially big gizzards that come by. This is gonna be something that you wanna throw to maybe fool some of those bass that are sitting out on the ledges eating big bait fish. Now, if you want to go to the opposite end of the spectrum, you don't want to throw big swim baits, you want to go with small stuff, Lucky Craft has got a bunch of new, like really cool small stuff. With topwater, we got 2 new ones to add from Lucky Craft. So we got the Bevy Popper 50, and then we got this new Gunfish 75. So a little baby popper, and then we got a little tiny walking bait. So if you're looking for a popper, you got the Bevy Popper. The Gunfish is always kind of a hybrid style of bait. It does have a popping mouth, so you can pop it, but it's really a walking bait that walks side to side. Highly successful in the other sizes. Now you have it in a very downsized model. So if you're in those places where you have really clear water and you have to downsize, these are gonna be good. But if you wanna throw the BFS gear and throw these tiny little topwaters, it would be super, super fun. Or if you're pond fishing and there's just not big bass in there and they really key in on small forage, these small topwaters are gonna be the way to go. If you want something, kind of below the surface, they've got a couple new offerings as well. This new LV45, I think it's the LVRTO. So it has that wider head on it versus like the shape of the LV500. That wider head, and then that 45 size, tiny, tiny little lipless crankbait. And around this time of the year, you start getting, after the shad spawn or sometimes during the shad spawn, I've seen little tiny shad in the grass that are that big. They're exactly the size of this thing. And I always wish I had a lipless crank about that size that you can kind of fish along the grass edges and stuff. That's gonna be a killer little bait when they get that small shad kind of worked up into the grass edges. Definitely want to have one of those in the arsenal. And then this Humpback 50 jerkbait. So this is a renowned bait from Lucky Craft. So anglers have been using this thing a lot to catch trout. So it's a dynamite trout catching bait. So if you're fishing in streams and stuff, this catches a ton of fish. But again, with the BFS stuff, now you can throw this kind of stuff, around for bass and actually be able to throw it on that BFS gear. But it's a great multi-species bait, and then you can also throw it for bass if you have BFS gear and just catch a ton of fish. And something like this, if you're working down the bank, there's no telling what you're gonna catch. You're gonna catch panfish, you're gonna catch trout, you're gonna catch crappies, whatever, bass. You're gonna catch everything with these little baits. It's gonna be a ton of fun. From Northland Tackle, well, they've got a bunch of new stuff out. So this first one is their Eye Candy series. So we got this new minnow bait and then their new paddle shad. So the new minnow bait, we got them in 2 sizes, and it's got this little tiny kind of spade tail on there. It's kind of flattened out, so it's going to quiver and just have a super, super finesse action, especially with all that ribbing on there, but really geared towards putting it on a jig head and doing the live scope fishing. But you can also put this on a drop shot or use it as a trailer for like small vibrating jigs. It's going to be great for that. And then if you want something with a kicking tail, they've got this kind of ribbed and on the top here, little paddle tail swim bait. So super small swim bait. These things are deadly on those fish up north, it's getting to be about that time of the year where the northern fisheries start to get going really good and the smallmouth absolutely crush these things. And the last one is their new jig crawler worm. So this shape of worm, proven effective on smallmouth bass, and just another one to add to the arsenal. It's got those ribs on there, so super, super subtle. Quivering action that is deadly on a drop shot. All these baits as well are made out of that TPE material. That's one thing I forgot to mention on the other 2. So that TPE material, I mean, it holds up to so many fish, and you know how aggressive smallmouth can be and how many worms you can go through in a day. With that TPE material, you can just keep catching fish after fish, and they just can't tear it up, and just saves you a ton of money. Especially when you get a group of smallmouth fired up, you can keep casting right in there and keep catching them, and you're not wasting time digging around your boat, re-rigging everything. So catch more fish and save yourself more money with that Northland stuff. The next couple products we got here from BuzzerRocks. This first one is the Blood Stop formula. So this is a spray. So when you deep hook a fish, you hook them down in the throat or in the gills, in the tongue, and the fish is bleeding. This is actually a spray that you can spray on there. It's a protective coating on the fish. It helps stop the bleeding quicker and speeds up the recovery process. So if you're tournament fishing, it helps save some of those fish to kind of reduce the chances of you having a dead fish penalty. So helps heal the fish up and then save yourself pounds or ounces weight penalties, whatever tournament series you're fishing. The next one is their live well treatment. They've got a couple different options. This is the tournament package. So inside of it, it's got a couple different tablets, and you add these into your live well, and it's going to increase the oxygen levels in the water. It's going to decrease the nitrates and ammonia in there, help the fish recover especially, you know, right now we're getting into summertime, and this is when it's most crucial to have live well treatment in there when the fish are struggling with oxygen levels and running around all over the lake and the fish get beat up. And this is the time you need to, you want to use this stuff to help take best care of the fish that you can and reduce the chances of, you know, fish dying in the live well and getting penalties in your tournaments. Next up, we actually got a bunch of new TW gear. We got a bunch of new shirts, a bunch of new hoodies. The first one I'm gonna go over is this one right here, actually. It's the new rod carrying strap. This is what you're gonna get in the package is the strap and then the wraps that go around your rods. So keep everything together. So what's cool about this thing is that you can put, you know, 5, 6 combos in here all wrapped up, and it's super easy to carry, throw it over your shoulder. But if you're a co-angler, just keep everything together and you're not having to, you know, you're not having to struggle with carrying 5 or 6 rods at one time. If you lay them in there right, you can get 5 or 6 combos in there and it's super easy to carry it to the dock, to your buddy's truck or whatever, you know, going out for the day of fishing. Or if you're bank angling, you know, you can strap your rods up and you can make a far trek and make it a little bit easier to carry all your gear with you. And then next up, bunch of new shirts that we just got in. I'm wearing one of them right here, the new stacked shirt, stacked logo. So we have it in our black with a silver and red logo on there. We have a navy blue one. We got a new topo shirt. So it's got a small Tackle Warehouse logo on the front, and then it's got this like topo design on the back. We also got a new back logo shirt. Got them in some really cool colors. You know, kind of a distressed green on the back with the black back logo. And then we actually got a couple new women's shirts. So we're expanding on the women's shirts. We have the little cursive writing on the front with a camo logo on the back. We got it in the gray color. And then we have one in a black color as well with the pink camo on the back. And then sweaters, you know, if you're fortunate enough like we are, you always need a hoodie no matter what time of the year it is. So we got that stacked logo again in a hoodie. And then we also have a back logo, you know, same design as the most of our hoodies that are out there, but now with the logo on the back, small TW right there on the front, and a Tackle Warehouse down the sleeve. So, you know, in the summertime, and especially you get that marine layer coming in, you always need a hoodie no matter what month of the year it is. So we got some new designs for the TW anglers, and we got new designs coming here in the near future, a bunch of new shirts and a bunch of new hats that are really, really cool. Make sure you're keeping an eye out for those. That's going to wrap up today's episode of What's New at Tackle Warehouse. For more information or to purchase any of the products seen here today, click shop or the link in the description below. If you enjoyed this week's video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, let us know in the comments which one of these products you're most excited about.